The next morning, the sun rose softly over the alien forest. Rami and his team woke early, still thinking about the strange honor the alien queen had shown them the day before. They gathered in a simple meeting hall near the queen's palace, a building made of smooth stone and glowing crystals. Rami looked at the queen. She sat quietly, calm and patient, as if she carried the weight of many years in her heart. The advisors stood around her, their eyes watching every move carefully. The room was filled with a quiet energy, full of hope and questions. The queen spoke first. "You want to understand why I knelt before you," she said. "This is not an easy story. It is part of our history and our future." Rami nodded. "Please tell us. We want to listen." The queen took a deep breath. "Long ago, before the stars were many, our people were different. We were part of a larger family. A family that included your ancestors." Rami's eyes grew wide. "You mean humans and your people share a common past?" "Yes," the queen said softly. "We call that time the Age of Unity. Our races lived together in peace and shared knowledge. But then, a great event changed everything. A powerful enemy came, and we were forced apart." She looked at Rami. "Since that time, our histories were lost, and our peoples grew separate. But the blood and spirit that connected us remained." Rami felt a shiver run down his spine. He had heard legends on Earth about ancient aliens and forgotten ties, but this was the first time anyone had spoken openly about such things. One of the queen's advisors stepped forward. "The prophecy says that one day, a chosen human will return. This person will help us heal the wounds of the past and face the coming darkness." Rami looked at the queen. "Is that why you knelt? Because you believe I am this person?" The queen nodded slowly. "Yes, your rival matches the signs we have awaited. You carry the mark of our shared past." Rami looked down at his hands, trying to understand what this meant. He was just an explorer, a simple man who had never dreamed of such importance. Lena, his team leader, spoke gently. "Rami, this is a great responsibility, but also a great honor. We must learn from their knowledge and share ours. Together, we can be stronger." The queen smiled, a rare and warm smile. "You have courage, and that is what we need. Our people have waited long for this moment." Rami stood up. "Please, tell us about the danger you face. We want to help." The queen's face grew serious. "Beyond our stars lies a force called the Shadow Fleet. They destroy worlds without mercy. We have tried to fight them, but our weapons are not enough." She turned to her advisors, who nodded solemnly. "We need your help, humans. Your technology and spirit can make a difference. But more than that, we need to remember who we are, united and strong." Rami felt a deep sense of duty. He looked at his team. They were ready. "We will stand with you. Together, we can protect this world and many others." The queen's eyes shone brightly. "Then we begin. We will share our knowledge and learn from yours." For the next hours, the humans and aliens exchanged stories and ideas. Rami learned about the ancient history of the queen's people, their culture, and their hopes. He shared stories about Earth, about human kindness and strength. Though their languages were different, they found common ground in their dreams for peace and friendship. As the day ended, the queen stood and addressed everyone. "Tomorrow, we begin preparing for the fight ahead. But remember, this is more than a battle. It is a chance to build a future where all races stand together." Rami looked at the stars rising above the alien trees. He thought about the journey ahead and the bond forming between two very different worlds. He did not know what the future held, but he was ready to face it, not just as a human explorer, but as a part of something greater. The morning light stretched over the strange planet, casting long shadows between the tall silver trees. Rami woke early, his mind full of thoughts about the queen's story and the danger they faced. The promise of a new alliance weighed on him. The fate of this alien world, and maybe many others, now rested partly on him. At the palace, the atmosphere was tense. The alien queen stood with her advisors, reviewing maps and star charts that showed the position of the Shadow Fleet. These were not just any enemy ships. They were massive and powerful, built to destroy entire planets. Rami joined the Queen and her council. The room was filled with soft lights and glowing symbols that pulsed gently on the walls. He watched as the Queen pointed to a spot on a map, far beyond the nearest star system. "The Shadow Fleet will arrive soon," she said. "We must be ready." Rami nodded. "What can we do? Your people have fought them before." The Queen's face was serious. "We tried to fight with what we had, but it was not enough. Our weapons are old and our defense is weak." One of the advisors added, "Our technology is strong in some ways, but your human inventions could give us the edge we need." Rami looked around at his team. They were skilled engineers and scientists. "We can help build better defenses. We can share what we know about weapons and shields." The Queen's eyes shone with hope. "That is good, but we also need to prepare our warriors. They must learn new ways to fight alongside your people." Rami thought about the humans who train every day to protect Earth. "We will work together, humans and your people, side by side." Over the next days, the humans and aliens began to prepare. Rami spent long hours with the alien scientists, explaining human technology. He showed them how to improve their energy shields and create stronger weapons. At the same time, the Queen worked with her warriors, teaching them new strategies and encouraging them to trust their new human allies. The warriors were proud and strong, but some were wary of the humans. It was a challenge to bring two different ways of fighting together. One day, as Rami walked through the training grounds, he saw a group of young alien fighters practicing with strange weapons. They were skilled but hesitant, unsure of the new methods. Rami stopped and spoke to them. "You are brave," he said kindly, "but remember, fighting is not just about strength. It is about trust and working as one." The young warriors looked at him with curious eyes. Slowly, they began to listen. Meanwhile, the Queen spent time with Rami, explaining more about her people's history and culture. She told him stories of great leaders and heroes who had protected their world before. Rami felt a deep respect for the Queen. She carried the weight of her people's hopes and fears. Yet she remained calm and strong. One evening, as they watched the stars from the palace balcony, Rami asked, "Why do you think the Shadow Fleet is coming now?" The Queen looked at the distant sky. "They seek to control all life. They fear the union of our races. That is why they come." Rami clenched his fists. "Then we must stop them, together." The days passed quickly. The humans and aliens worked side by side, building new defenses and training for battle. The bond between them grew stronger, built on respect and shared purpose. One morning, an alarm rang through the palace. The Shadow Fleet had been spotted near the planet's edge. The Queen gathered her warriors and the human team. "The time has come," she said. "We will face the enemy together." Rami felt his heart race. This was the moment they had prepared for. He looked at the Queen, and she nodded. Without words, they understood each other, a promise to fight for the future of their worlds. As the enemy ships moved closer, the planet's defenses powered up, lights flashed, and weapons hummed with energy. The battle was about to begin. The days after the first signs of the enemy fleet's approach were filled with hard work and careful planning. Rami knew that to win the coming battle, the humans and the alien people had to trust each other completely. Without trust, even the best weapons and plans would fail. Rami spent most of his time with the alien scientists and warriors, learning their ways and teaching them about human technology. He was surprised by how curious and open-minded they were. They asked many questions, eager to understand new ideas. One afternoon, Rami joined a group of alien engineers working on improving their energy shields. The shields were powerful but unstable. The humans suggested changes that made the shields stronger and easier to repair. As they worked together, laughter and stories filled the workshop. Rami shared stories of Earth, about the mountains, oceans, and cities full of people from different places. The aliens listened carefully, fascinated by the idea of a world so far away. Among the engineers was a young alien named Jara. She was bright and quick to learn. She smiled warmly at Rami and said, Your stories give us hope. Maybe our worlds are not so different after all. Rami smiled back. We all want to protect our homes. That is what makes us strong. Meanwhile, the queen held meetings with her warriors. She knew some of them were still unsure about trusting humans. Old fears and pride made it hard to accept outsiders as equals. One evening, the queen invited Rami to a quiet garden in the palace. The stars were shining brightly above the silver trees, and the air was cool and fresh. Rami, the queen said softly, some of my people still doubt the humans. They remember old wars and think strangers cannot be trusted. Rami nodded. I understand. But we can prove that trust is possible, with actions, not just words. The queen smiled gently. You have courage and wisdom. I believe in you. The next day, Rami joined the training sessions with the warriors. At first, some kept their distance, watching him carefully. But as he shared his knowledge and fought alongside them in practice, they began to respect him. One warrior, strong and tall, named Vek, approached Rami. You fight well, Vek said gruffly. Maybe humans are not so weak after all. Rami laughed. I still have much to learn from you. Slowly, the walls between the two people started to break down. They shared meals, stories, and dreams. They talked about their families and their hopes for the future. Rami realized that this bond was more powerful than any weapon. It was the key to their survival. One evening, as Rami and the queen walked through the palace halls, she told him more about her people's history. We once faced enemies like the Shadow Fleet before, she said. But back then, we were alone. We lost many. Now, with you and your people, we have a chance to win. Rami felt a deep sense of responsibility. I won't let you down. The queen looked at him with trust and kindness. I know. As the enemy ships drew nearer, the planet prepared for battle. Humans and aliens worked side by side, building defenses and training harder than ever. The night before the fight, Rami stood outside the palace, looking at the stars. The silence was peaceful but held a promise of danger. He thought about the queens kneeling when they first met. Now, he understood. It was not just respect, but a hope for unity, for friendship, and for a future where many worlds could live in peace. Rami took a deep breath. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The sky above the planet grew dark as the Shadow Fleet ships approached. Their massive shapes blocked the light of the two suns, casting long shadows over the land. The air was filled with tension, but also with determination. The humans and the aliens stood ready, side by side. Rami stood at the command center, watching the screens carefully. His heart beat fast, but he kept calm. Years of training had prepared him for moments like this. Around him, the alien queen stood tall and strong, her eyes focused on the incoming enemy. The first wave of ships entered the planet's defense zone. The energy shields hummed to life, glowing brighter as they absorbed the attacks. Lasers and plasma beams shot back from the planet's surface, striking enemy vessels. The warriors of the alien race moved quickly, using their advanced weapons and skill. The humans operated their own machines, firing with precision. Together, their attacks were powerful. Rami led a small team in a daring mission to disable the enemy's control ship. They flew close to the battle, dodging fire and debris. The ship was heavily guarded, but Rami's team was determined. Stay close, Rami said through the radio. We must hit their core. The team's small fighter ships darted between enemy vessels, finally reaching the control ship. Rami took a deep breath and guided his ship toward the enemy's weak point. With a loud explosion, the control ship began to lose power. The enemy fleet's coordination faltered. Back on the planet, the queen saw the change. Now, she commanded. The warriors pressed their attack. The battle was fierce. Explosions lit the sky, and the ground shook. The warriors fought bravely, inspired by their leader and the humans who stood with them. Rami felt the weight of the moment. He remembered why the queen had knelt to him, because together they were stronger. Hours passed, and the enemy was pushed back. The Shadow Fleet retreated for now, but the battle was not over. The queen gathered her people and the humans. You "I fought well," she said, "but this is only the beginning. We must prepare for what comes next." Rami nodded. "We will be ready." Though tired, the team felt hope. The bond between humans and aliens had grown deeper in battle. They had proven that unity could win. As night fell, the stars shone brightly above. Rami looked at the sky, knowing that the fight for their future would continue. But now, they faced it as one. The battle had slowed, but the tension remained high. Rami sat in the quiet room inside the palace. Thinking deeply, the memories of the fight still echoed in his mind. Though the enemy had retreated, the threat was far from over. The alien queen entered the room quietly. Her eyes were calm but serious. She sat beside Rami and spoke softly. "It is time you know the full truth." Rami looked at her, curious. "I am ready." The queen took a deep breath. "Long ago, our ancestors met humans on a distant world. They shared knowledge and made a promise to protect each other." She paused, her gaze distant. "But the promise was broken by fear and war. Our peoples were separated, and history was lost." Rami listened carefully, feeling the weight of the story. "The prophecy you heard is real. It says that one day, a human descendant will come to unite our races again." The queen reached out and took Rami's hand gently. "That is why I knelt before you, because you carry the hope of that promise." Rami felt a mix of honor and responsibility. "But why me? How do you know I am the one?" The queen smiled softly. "Your spirit and your actions. You have shown courage, kindness, and wisdom. These qualities are the true signs." Rami looked down, thinking deeply. "I want to help. I want to make things right." The queen's smile grew warmer. "Together, we can. But the Shadow Fleet will return. We must prepare." In the days that followed, the humans and aliens worked harder than ever. The truth of their shared past brought them closer. They trained, built new defenses, and shared ideas. Rami often met with the queen, learning more about her people and their culture. He felt a deep respect for her strength and kindness. One evening, as they watched the stars from the palace balcony, the queen said, "Our worlds are connected, not just by history, but by hope. That hope will guide us." Rami nodded. "I believe that too." The peace between the two races felt fragile but real. They were ready to face whatever came next, together. The sky was clear, and the stars shone bright over the alien planet. The battle with the Shadow Fleet had ended, but the future was just beginning. Rami stood beside the alien queen on the palace balcony, looking out at the world they had fought to protect. The air was calm, filled with hope and a new sense of purpose. The humans and aliens had come together as one, not just to fight, but to build a better future. Rami thought back to the day the queen knelt before him. At that moment, he did not understand why. Now, he saw it clearly. It was a sign of respect, trust, and the promise of unity between their peoples. The queen turned to him and smiled. "This is only the start, Rami. Together, we will explore the stars, learn from each other, and protect many worlds." Rami nodded. "I want to help. I want to make sure no one ever faces such danger alone." The queen's eyes sparkled with hope. "We will face challenges, but with courage and friendship, we can overcome anything." In the days that followed, the planet buzzed with activity. Humans and aliens worked side by side, repairing damage and building new ships. They shared their knowledge freely, teaching each other about their worlds and their ways of life. Rami visited the training grounds, where warriors from both races practiced together. He saw young aliens and humans learning to fight as a team, their laughter and cheers filling the air. One afternoon, Jara, the young alien engineer, approached Rami with a bright smile. "We have made progress on the new shield," she said. "It is stronger than ever." Rami smiled back. "That is good news. Together, we can protect many worlds." As the days passed, Rami and the queen led efforts to build a new alliance, one based on trust and respect. They reached out to other nearby planets, sharing their story and inviting others to join. At a great council meeting, leaders from many worlds gathered. The queen spoke with strength and hope. telling the story of unity and the power of friendship. Rami stood beside her, feeling proud. Their journey had not been easy, but it had been worth every step. One evening, as the twin suns set and the stars appeared, Rami looked at the sky and thought of Earth. He missed his home, but he knew his place was here, helping to build a future where many worlds could live in peace. The queen stood beside him and said softly, "When I knelt before you, it was not just respect. It was a promise that together we would face the stars and protect life everywhere." Rami smiled. "I understand now, and I am ready." The stars above shone like never before, bright and full of hope. The future was theirs to write. The sky was clear, and the stars shone bright over the alien planet. The battle with the Shadow Fleet had ended, but the future was just beginning. Rami stood beside the alien queen on the palace balcony, looking out at the world they had fought to protect. The air was calm, filled with hope and a new sense of purpose. The humans and aliens had come together as one, not just to fight, but to build a better future. Rami thought back to the day the queen knelt before him. At that moment, he did not understand why. Now, he saw it clearly. It was a sign of respect, trust, and the promise of unity between their peoples. The queen turned to him and smiled. "This is only the start, Rami. Together, we will explore the stars, learn from each other, and protect many worlds." Rami nodded. "I want to help. I want to make sure no one ever faces such danger alone." The queen's eyes sparkled with hope. "We will face challenges, but with courage and friendship, we can overcome anything." In the days that followed, the planet buzzed with activity. Humans and aliens worked side by side, repairing damage and building new ships. They shared their knowledge freely, teaching each other about their worlds and their ways of life. Rami visited the training grounds, where warriors from both races practiced together. He saw young aliens and humans learning to fight as a team, their laughter and cheers filling the air. One afternoon, Jara, the young alien engineer, approached Rami with a bright smile. "We have made progress on the new shield," she said. "It is stronger than ever." Rami smiled back. "That is good news. Together, we can protect many worlds." As the days passed, Rami and the queen led efforts to build a new alliance, one based on trust and respect. They reached out to other nearby planets, sharing their story and inviting others to join. At a great council meeting, leaders from many worlds gathered. The queen spoke with strength and hope, telling the story of unity and the power of friendship. Rami stood beside her, feeling proud. Their journey had not been easy, but it had been worth every step. One evening, as the twin suns set and the stars appeared, Rami looked at the sky and thought of Earth. He missed his home, but he knew his place was here, helping to build a future where many worlds could live in peace. The queen stood beside him and said softly, "When I knelt before you, it was not just respect. It was a promise that together we would face the stars and protect life everywhere." Rami smiled. "I understand now, and I am ready." The stars above shone like never before, bright and full of hope. The future was theirs to write.